I want to talk about the legacy of John Lewis, a man who dedicated his life in the fight for justice. Many call him the moral compass of Congress. We indeed lost an icon that will be in future history books. He's referred to as the most respected member of the House of Representatives. And he fought for justice, not just for African Americans, but for everyone, all people considered different. He was a true social justice advocate and a warrior for peace. He began working with Dr. King at 18 years old. How many 18-year-olds have the internal courage, consistent focus, and intentional fortitude to devote themselves to a cause bigger than themselves and maintain that for the rest of their lives from 18 to 80? He did that. In his early 20s, he was the youngest speaker at the 1963 March on Washington, where we all heard the famous words of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., "I have a dream." He was arrested over 40 times for standing up against injustice, because injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. The truth is, Dr. King would not have accomplished the great thing that he did in the fight against social injustices without the help of Mr. John Lewis. He helped spearhead the Voting Rights Act in 1965 by taking part in the march from Selma to Montgomery, Alabama. That is a 54-mile trek as a nonviolent protest demonstrating the desire for Blacks to have voting rights. And this is after the Civil Rights Act was already signed. It became known as Bloody Sunday, and on that day, he was beaten unconscious almost to death by state troopers, men who had sworn to protect him against such violence. But he decided, even in that case, hate was too big of a burden to bear. In 1968, when Dr. King was assassinated, he didn't stop fighting, but he rather dedicated himself to the service of Americans everywhere in the House of Representatives. He lived out the thoughts of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., who said we must live together as brothers and sisters or we will perish as fools. He was there in 1964 when the Civil Rights Act was passed. He was there in 1965 when the Voting Rights Act was passed. He was there in 1968 when the Fair Housing Act was passed, and he was a part of all of them. He may not have or have had the acclaim or publicity as other Black leaders, but he is undoubtedly as important. How many people have been awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom, which is the highest civilian award in the United States? In 2011 it was. He was not only awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom by then President Barack Obama, but he was also called a personal hero by Barack Obama, President Barack Obama. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a mountain of a man that deserved to be remembered in every history book to be written from here on out. In 1955, at the age of 15, he decided that he didn't mind getting in trouble, getting arrested over 40 times. You know what he said? I don't mind getting in trouble as long as it's good trouble, as long as it's necessary trouble. And to the citizens of America in 2020, I'm saying, in the words of our esteemed leader, Mr. John Lewis, it is time for us to make some noise. Let's get in trouble. Let's get in good trouble if necessary, because the time is now. Thank you, Mr. John Lewis, for a life well lived.